People who say you should not squat all the way down are dumb. Here's why.
Our next caller is Ashnia from the Philippines.
Ashnia, how can we help you?
Hi guys, good morning. Thank you for taking the time. Of course, I'll start by saying thank you. I know that you hear this all the time, but it's just worth repeating. After everything you've done in the fitness community, you deserve every bit of success. So please don't stop making content because you're not just changing lives, you're definitely saving lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying
So-
that.
Thank you.
To the question. So, can you really squat ass to grass with heavy load? So, for context, I completed all 3 programs from the MAPS RGB and would want to continue focusing on strength, primarily on my squat. Now, I noticed that during phase 1 of each program, I was able to increase weights on my squat significantly, but at the same time, I was having a little challenge to maintain the same depth. Now, my goal is to, of course, again, squat ass to grass with heavy loads, but the internet says if you want to squat ass to grass, ass to grass is not the way to go if you want to squat heavy. But I don't actually believe them. That is why I'm coming to your show. I'd like to get some advice. Should I focus on getting strong first or get better with my mobility?
Yeah, the internet's stupid.
You gotta be careful out there.
Heavy is all
Relative.
It's all relative. Like heavy for someone might be light for someone else. So heavy is just about the intensity of the load that the load brings to you, and all exercises should be performed with good control, stability, and technique. Okay, so the real question is, can you squat ass to grass with a heavy load in the context of that particular range of motion, so long as you have good stability, control, and mobility? And the answer is, of course. You can do, if you can control a movement in a range of motion, if you have good stability, if you have good mobility, you have good control, then you can do it. There's no question about it. That goes to any exercise. Now, the real question is there any benefit to squatting deeper versus squatting less deep, right? Why should I squat lower versus squatting to just parallel? Well, if with all things being equal, with both of them being under good control, well then yeah, squatting deeper means you're strengthening a deeper range of motion. You are strengthening muscles in positions and in lengths that you wouldn't be if you just stopped the range of motion short. Remember, the strength that you gain from an exercise is to a large extent limited to the range of motion that you train it in. If I only do curls halfway, I get a little bit of carryover outside that range of motion, but most of the strength is going to be that I gain is going to be in the range of motion that I train. So why would anybody want to limit the strength gains to a certain range of motion? Now, the only correct answer to that would be, or the only reason why that would make sense would be that they don't have the mobility. They don't have the control and stability to go in a deeper range of motion. But then my retort is, well, see if you can train your mobility and your function so that you can work in those deeper ranges of motion. So aside from sport-specific applications, there's no validity to what the internet says about, ass to grass squats.
I mean, I would love to put you in our private forum if you're not in there already. I'd love to put you in there.
I'm already in there.
Okay, so then my recommendation would be to load the bar with a very comfortable lightweight that you feel comfortable controlling and do a really deep squat so I can see your technique. And then if I look at it and I think you have a really, really good squat, then I would encourage you to load the bar with a weight that's challenging for you. But the question is that, because some people can do it, but then they have a massive forward lean or their knees are caving in, or they have like a rounded back when they do it, or an excessive butt wink. So they could get down ass to grass, but why you hear some of the coaches out there saying that you shouldn't heavy load that is in fear of their poor technique. Back to Sal's point, that if you can do it with good control, stability, and range of motion, then absolutely. But I do think it's important that we assess that first before you go do a max lift in a deeper range of motion that you don't usually do. I would never recommend a client do that until I see the technique. Have you ever assessed your squat? Like, what do you think about your squat deep? Why do you feel like sometimes you can go to a certain level and other times you can go deeper? Do you notice a difference in the squat?
Yeah, when I was running anabolic, I compared my squat from, I think that was phase 1 and phase 3. I think the higher reps but lower weights. Now I can really like squat deeper, and I can even pause for a second. But if I'm gonna load the bar heavy, I only hit parallel. So right now I tried to like record my last session yesterday, so I was able to load the bar 100. It's 60 kilograms, just parallel. So my aim is to like really hit that parallel and just really comfortably squat. Well, I guess my point is I really want to challenge my mobility.
Yeah.
Like,
look,
how low can I squat with heavy loads?
Ashnia, you have to compare apples to apples. So a parallel squat to a squat that's below parallel, you can't compare the weight.
Different exercise.
Yeah, I can't say it's not the same, right? So
you may be already lifting heavy deep.
Right.
So when you do go what you consider lighter weight, because it's lighter than when you only go parallel. So what Sal means by that, so if let's say you can do 100 and 120 pounds just to parallel, but you can do 80 pounds ass to grass. That 80 pounds ass to grass is you're lifting heavy there.
Yeah.
It's a greater range of motion, so you're getting a bigger bang for your buck there. So even though there's less weight on the bar, it doesn't mean you're not lifting heavy weight. It's potentially heavy for you to do 80 pounds ass to grass.
yeah, your body doesn't know what weight you're lifting. It knows tension.
Yeah.
Your body's not registering the weight; it registers the tension, right? So, look, I'll give you another example.
Oh, we have a video right here too. I didn't even know we had.
If you're doing 60 kilos on a parallel squat, and you want to add weight, here's something else you could do. Instead of adding weight, go a little deeper with the same weight. Challenge it an inch or two lower, and slowly increase the range of motion with the same weight. You're going heavier technically.
That's why, it's a little bit
Makes
of a difference of goal here in terms of like, are you trying to get more weight but get lower? I would focus on getting lower and then start adding weight.
You look good.
Well,
I mean,
there were a couple there that went as low, but I mean, I would go low.
Go low and progressively overload your way back up.
Keep your form the same. Don't change your squat from phase 1 to phase 3. Change the weight in the reps, but keep the form the same. There's no reason for you to train with a shorter range of motion.
Yeah, no, you look good. I think what's happening is you challenge the weight, and then you probably get a little nervous and scared to go deeper because it's really heavy. Just lighten it up.
Exactly.
Just lighten it up a little bit. Lighten it up a little bit to allow yourself to go that full range of motion, and then eventually
it just needs time. You just need time of repetition, getting at that depth.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice the same progression that you've made already at a higher position.
How often do you do hip thrust?
I don't do hip thrust.
Okay, so I think that'll help you. I think what's happening right here is that when you get really, really deep in that stretch position and the glutes have to really hit you out of the hole, you're a little bit weaker there. You look like you have very strong legs and quads. From your video, at least it looks like it from the video. And the glutes may just be a little bit underdeveloped in comparison to your quads. I would incorporate some hip thrusts into your training. And try and get really strong in the hip thrust.
Some pause reps down there at the bottom.
And see how that carries over into help you with your barbell back squat. But you look good.
Yeah, but your squat form shouldn't change from phase to phase. The weight is relative to the form and your technique. So don't change your form to lift more weight. Then that's not doing you any good.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're on the right track, though. You look. I mean,
your form looked great with the deep squat.
She's barefoot too.
Yeah.
So you look great.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, you're doing great. I literally think adding some hip thrusts into your routine, you're going to see some great benefit from that.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Ashnia.
Thank you.
Tag us in the forum too, so we can see the progress. I'd like to see how you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right. You have a good one.
Hip thrust is like one of those exercises, I will say, that if you recommend someone to do it, they immediately think to themselves, like, does my butt not look good? Based on your video, I think you should do hip thrust.
I mean, I could see that. I could see.
No, I see what you're saying with the technique.
Yeah, I could see. And if one of the things that will, I mean, that's why deep squats are so great for the glutes, is because when you're down there at the bottom to get you out of that hole,
It's in a stretch position.
Yeah, it's in a stretch position. They got to fire. And so what's happening is I think it's just underdeveloped in comparison to her quads. And she had great quads. I mean, I looked at her legs. You can see she's got strong legs. So I bet if she includes some hip thrust, if she gets really good at hip thrust and starts loading that, I bet she'll see great carryover into the squat.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because when you're because I know what's going to happen. Some people are going to talk about athletic pursuits and athletes squatting parallel or half squats or quarter squats.
It's different.
There is value to shortening the ranges of motion, but it's sport specific. It's almost always sport specific in that case.
I mean, the truth is, what's funny that it's not talked about very much. If you are training like an athlete, you actually technically should be squatting on your tippy toes most of the time.
That's another part.
I mean, most all sports do not want you flat on your. Name me a sport where you should ever be heavy on your heels. Never.
Yeah.
So if you really want
I was just having that conversation with Smitty. Not too long ago. Yeah.
What does he think? Does he agree?
Yeah.
To some extent.
To some extent, in terms of like building the base, it's basically everything we say about like starting off with building a good base and glute, but then specifics. Yeah. Like you're going to want to end up on balls of your feet and strengthen that position. Cause if I'm on the field, if I'm heel driven, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I don't have any movement.
And that's in any sport. Any sport, you're on your toes. I'm trying to think of an example where you wouldn't, or that would be valuable.
That's why the sled is so amazing.
That's right, because you're driving on the toes all the time. 100%. That's why that's so great. So really, for the athletes out there, that I think that if you have a good, decent, already backloaded squat on your heels, tippy toe squats are a great exercise.
That's how they used to squat back in the day. You know that, right? Bronze era squats were always on the toes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, flat squats didn't happen till later because they could add more load.
Oh, interesting.